And good evening to everybody joining us for this episode of the Odyssey Hour, coming to you from beautiful Twin Cities, Minnesota, because it was gorgeous today. Okay, nobody else has anything to add to that.
I can tell I was inside working all day, so I didn't get to enjoy it.
Oh, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, it does. It does sometimes.
If it makes you feel any better, I had to mow the lawn today.
Wow. It's horrible.
Bummer.
Be outside and enjoy the weather.
I wouldn't say I was really enjoying it, though.
I always find mowing the lawn like satisfying. I don't know. I think it's kind of satisfying to do.
Yeah, I mean, because I've always said, and I don't want to make this the TLC gardening hour, but
I think we should.
I think this should just be a gardening hour for this episode.
In the Odyssey Hour, we field paranormal questions or gardening questions, and not anything in between. Only those two things.
The two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, those are the two sides of the spectrum.
We could do a tour of my plants.
Yeah, do you have plants?
Tour of your plants.
Do they like nice? Whoa. Do they stay alive?
This one does.
Sweet. That looks more like a pine tree.
Yeah, it is like a mini pine tree.
Then yeah, I don't think you could kill it if you wanted to.
No, I couldn't. I don't know how it's alive, honestly.
It's an evergreen. It stays green forever.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fake and you just didn't know. You just
no, it's real. But
well, I don't have a green thumb at all. Do any of us have a green thumb? No. So you really don't want to ask us any gardening questions. Okay.
I think it'd be funny for us to try to bullshit our way through gardening questions.
Well, I mean, if we want, next week, if we don't have a guest, I can go to like a subreddit for gardening and see.
That's gonna go well.
See if I can find some gardening questions. And
maybe we'll find where the paths cross. Like, oh, my garden gnomes keep going missing. Where are they going?
That would be amazing.
And then we can field that one.
A haunted garden gnome.
A haunted garden. There you go.
Haunted garden.
But I think the only thing paranormal about that, though, would be us actually knowing the answer, like a correct answer. I can give you shit advice till I'm blue in the face, but it ain't going to help your garden unless you want to grow weeds, which case I'm the man for that one. As anybody who has been here during the summer can attest to, as they see it standing above the fence in my backyard. So, but this year I have it half under control. So we'll see.
Nice.
That's good.
So, but anyway, welcome. The whole point of that I was going to say to you, Sam, is I agree. If you have a really good lawn and you mow it and it looks gorgeous after you're done with it, then yes, that's the satisfaction of it. But when you're like me and have had the sea of dandelions and weeds all over the place, the only satisfaction is that your lawn no longer looks like the nightmare that makes your neighbors close their blinds. So there you go. Anyways.
Pretty common. I don't know. I think the concepts of having a lawn is kind of bullshit. Because it's such a waste of water. It's such a waste of water to keep a lawn green. I think it's way more people should have like natural gardens in their yards instead of lawns, in my opinion.
But I would think gardens would need
Be
more
more water.
water than
No,
lawns
I'm
do.
talking about a garden specifically where it's like minimal upkeep, like a prairie garden. For
You need to move to Arizona where the yards are rock.
I do. At least it's not a lawn.
Right. I mean, they're literally rock. That's all it is. Rock and dirt.
Cactus, man.
Yeah, rock, dirt, and cactus. That's been my dad's lawn for like over a decade.
That sounds
So-
amazing. I do need to go to Arizona.
Like they're grass in somebody's like yard in Arizona is like a symbol that you're rich.
Yeah,
Like
I was
that.
just
That's
gonna
how
say,
the other half live. Is they
your
get to like
water
walk
bill
on
would
grass.
be nightmarish in Arizona.
Yeah, that would take some.
Like here,
Water.
you step outside and you're never more than a mile from a lake. In Arizona, the water's hard to come by.
Well, yeah, and in Arizona, you're never more than a mile. You're actually more than a mile away from anybody under 65. So you're only going to find old people in Arizona.
It's true.
So, all right, let's get into some topics for today. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Lauren, you're up.
Okay. So I would like to know what y'all's thoughts are on if there is a correlation between paranormal, like spirit activity, and cryptid and or UFO activity, and what everybody's thoughts on that are.
I was really hoping you would never get to that topic.
Why?
You'll
I'm
understand.
interested.
No, you'll understand when I answer.
Okay.
I think it would make sense if that were true. I don't know if that's a hard and true tested thing. I think that I've heard a lot before that, you know, as you were citing last week with Bigfoot and stuff like that, that, you know, there's a correlation between Bigfoot sightings and UFO sightings and stuff like that. I would be interested to see if that were actually true, and it would be interesting to be in an opportunity to test that theory. But I don't know for sure here. I don't have enough experience with UFOs and cryptids, even for that matter. I barely have experience with spirits, so I can't really say here, but that is something that you hear a lot. Well, I guess not a lot, but that you do hear of, like, theories of, you know, certain places in the United States, you know, for example, you know, Skinwalker Ranch, where that's a hotspot of everything you can think of in terms of the paranormal. So I think it's possible. It might make sense that there is just a unifying energy binding those three things together. And I would be very interested to see if it were true.
Okay.
Scott, you go ahead.
Well, I've heard some people argue that anything out of the ordinary is part of the paranormal, including cryptids and
Well, that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's all the paranormal means is something that's not normal.
yeah. They even link religion and religious experiences in that.
Yes, they do. Miracles, stuff like that. Yeah.
Some people link just religious thinking in general as paranormal, but
Well, that's because they're crazy. Just kidding, Scott.
well, that's what they think. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how much of a correlation there is, but it's all paranormal. I'm not sure just what to say on that. It all qualifies as paranormal.
True, but you can be under the same umbrella and not really be connected beyond just the term. I mean, what Lauren's talking about is supernatural, extraterrestrial and cryptid. Yes, they're all under the blanket of the paranormal, but that doesn't mean that they're not completely separate entities or subjects. I mean, they're definitely separate fields of study.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they're still. I mean, you could even call comic books and superpowers are under the blanket of the paranormal. But does that mean that they're connected to the supernatural? Not really, unless you're the ghost whisperer, and then you are.
Was that drama show that was on?
Yes,
for a
with Jennifer
while?
Love Hewitt. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah, I never
she could-
touched that.
No, neither did I.
Never
but-
touched that.
It continually is on syndication. Why? I have no idea. But all right, Scott. I'm sorry to interrupt. Continue.
I'm not sure what to say. I don't know what correlation there is between them, if any.
Fair enough.
You know.
Someone
Okay.
else go.
I was going to say, go ahead, Haley. Then.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Scott was done. I also don't know that I know much about this subject, but I have heard of people making connections between different, paranormal entities. I don't necessarily think there's any correlation between them, honestly. Like, I don't think that Bigfoot is an alien, and I don't think that ghosts are aliens, or that aliens are ghosts, or that aliens are Bigfoot. So yeah, I don't really think they're connected, if I'm being honest. I just really don't. But I don't know a ton about it, so
Did you think you're going to get shunned because you were the rebel?
no.
No, I mean, if you don't think that they're connected, and you don't think that they're connected, there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't. To me, it seems like a reach, I guess, because they're all
Far-fetched.
paranormal, but that doesn't mean that they have to be connected. Like, I think they can be completely different things. Like, aliens from, outer space or whatever don't have to be the same thing as spirits of people who were once living. Like, that, it doesn't need to be the same. So, yeah.
I agree with you. Before I get into mine, then let me just say hello to Pam. So she
Hello,
said
Pam.
hello to everybody, and I'm going to try and not ignore the chat room like I typically do. But yeah. So, all right. So it was, God, what, maybe a year and a half ago now, something like that. Chuck Zukowski, who, I'm assuming you all know who he is. I mean, not necessarily talked to him or anything, but Dave and I were talking to him about aliens, obviously, and also the supernatural and spirits or whatever. And he said something to me that I never even considered before, and that is, he said,
Uh-oh.
Did he just? What just happened?
The Hat Man got him.
whoops, sorry about that.
There you are.
Here I am.
Scott just made the best joke I've ever heard him make before, as you were out, and I'm not going to repeat it.
What?
God, that was so funny.
It was. Sorry about that. I was scraping dust off my buttons on my laptop, and it sent me out. What was the
Scott
joke?
said the Hat Man got you.
That man got me. Well, it's not. It could be
That was funny.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry about that. So this is probably the livest part of the show that we've had so far is when I leave. But I'm not going to touch my laptop anymore. But so what he said to me was, what would you say if I were to tell you that, what many people consider to be like supernatural, paranormal spirit encounters are actually alien in nature. And I never thought of that before. And it's actually been a theory, from way back in like probably the 40s and 50s, but it wasn't made popular until I think the 70s. I can't remember what his name. I think his name's John something. but he actually brought that to the surface, that UFOs, more importantly, Bigfoot, not so much cryptids in general, but Bigfoot and like spirits were in some way connected. I don't necessarily think that they're connected as we would think so, but more like an energy type thing. Because as you know, we all give that off. Even spirits, when they've passed on, all they are is energy. But there has been a lot of reports of obviously a lot of UFOs being surrounded by in the same areas, a lot of Bigfoot sightings. There is also, here's the thing that kind of is iffy for me, is you can go in any city, in any town, in probably any country, and you're going to have spirits. You're going to have ghost sightings. You're going to have hauntings. So, the question remains is there a particular type of haunting or spirit or level of it that may attract a Bigfoot or may attract alien activity? Or is it alien activity in general? And the reason why, Lauren, I said I was really hoping that you would never get to this topic for a while is, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, but never like public. And I'm still really not doing it in public, but for the 7 people that are watching right now. But, Doug and I have teamed up to pitch a show that brings all 3 of those together, that tries to see if there is a correlation between the 3. Whether there is or not, I don't know. But I definitely believe now more than I ever did that a good maybe I shouldn't say a good portion, but a portion of encounters and claims that people have, what they deem to be a ghost, or more specifically a demon, because everything's a demon, but is probably more alien than nature. Sam, you brought up Skinwalker Ranch, which is, I think, probably the biggest hotspot of all 3. Maybe not Bigfoot, but they're definitely getting skinwalkers, which could be considered cryptids. Yeah. There's the new cryptid. They haven't even really figured out what to classify it as, known as the Glimmer Man. I don't know if any of you guys know what the Glimmer Man is. So basically, it is a real life predator from the movies. Oh. It is legitimately invisible unless it starts moving, and then people are able to see like that glimmer, as something like a cloak. But that is real. I mean, it was first sighted in 76, I believe, 74, 76. Dave and I just did a show on it. But in the 2000s, and especially in the last probably 5 years, sightings of it have skyrocketed. And for the most part, all over the United States are the biggest hotspots. But they've seen like Honduras, I think, and a few over in the UK. But these things are seen not only in the woods, but they're seen in people's homes. Like people have literally like walked into their room or whatever and saw something like run across their living room and out the door that just left that little glimmer. So people don't even know what to classify this damn thing as, because nobody has ever seen it uncloaked. But again, the question remains, what is it? Is it some sort of new cryptid that has found a way to shield itself and cloak itself? Is it military? Because they've been working on a cloaking suit for probably decades now. Or is it aliens? Because they're definitely going to have that type of technology. But nobody knows. So I guess the question is not so much, are they connected or as like integral, intimately, energy wise, but are we misidentifying what one thing is and it's really something else? So I'm hoping that show gets made because we're going to be a part of it. But we'll see. I mean, somebody's going to do it eventually because it is a theory that is coming up a lot now. Like people are really starting to look into whether it can be true or not, especially with now that there's such a database of claims, people can actually correlate haunted, Bigfoot, and UFO together. So, Lauren, what about you? There's no reason you can't answer. Oh, and I didn't do that. I don't think.
I think she
Haley's
meant to
mom
mute
came
herself.
in.
Oh,
Haley's mom came in.
oh, well, that was rude. Well, Lauren, what about you? What do you think of that theory?
I do agree with you, Mike, that I think there is a portion. I don't know how big that portion is. I don't think it's very big, but I do think that there are some spiritual, like ghost, like focused events that are correlated with some kind of activity, whether it be cryptid and or UFOs. I'd like to believe that. Again, like we said, there isn't a lot of hard evidence justifying that. I'd really like to believe that they are in some instance correlated. I don't think it's going to be 100% of the time. Absolutely not. But I do think as a spirit, I would assume you're kind of like you can sense energies around you more. I would like to think that's the case because you can kind of sense where other people are, and you could now sense bodies of energy and then actual like human beings if you're intelligent, not residual, obviously. So I would assume that you'd have more of a sensitivity towards maybe cryptids and or aliens. Again, we're just assuming. I don't know. Short answer, I'd like to believe that there's a correlation for at least a portion of supernatural events, but who knows?
I mean, if you think about it this way, as a spirit, you're used to a certain type of energy. So, I mean, you're probably going to be if you're again an intelligent spirit and you're somewhat intuitive but you're going to seek out like different forms of energy, which is what I would assume those two are. But honestly, I think that you're going to find, and I guess you can hold me to this if that show ever gets made, whether by us or not. But I think they're going to find more of a correlation between Bigfoot and extraterrestrials than they are going to be all three. Just because hauntings are everywhere. You can go into any sort of Bigfoot and UFO hotspot and you're going to find some sort of haunted location. The problem, I shouldn't say the problem, but I guess the strategy would be to try and reach or influence UFOs and Bigfoots through paranormal and supernatural investigation. Is probably the only way to do something like that. Ask a spirit to get Bigfoot to knock on a tree, something along those lines. But whether that will ever, it would have to be well thought out. That's for sure. So yeah, good question. Just wanted it later.
Sorry.
It's all
Jumped
right.
the gun.
It's all right. It happens. I didn't say anything. So who wants to go next?
I can.
Have at it.
Okay. So do you guys think, because typically when we do like a sort of like personal home investigation, it's something that's voluntary and we don't ask people to pay for it. But do you think that investigators should be paid, or that it should be like should there be a situation where we get paid to go into a house?
You looking for a salary, Haley?
I'm not. I think personally, I don't know. I won't share my opinion, but I'm curious of what you guys think on that, I guess.
I guess my gut reaction says no for going into somebody's house. Like, I guess if they're really insistent on compensating you somehow, like, I don't know, you can just be like, okay, if you want to make a donation, sure. to the team, but like I don't know, it just seems like a thing that's so not concrete to pay for. Like there's just too much room for people to go in there and take advantage of people that don't know any better, and like take money for like EVPs that are just, you know, somebody's jacket rubbing up against a wall or something like that, and then they matrix it to make it seem like it's EVP, and they're just like, oh yeah, we found this in your house, so pay us. You know, it's like I think there's too much room for it to be skewed in a bad way. So I guess not really, not unless like, you know, not unless if it's a situation where like you're investigating the same place over like a really long amount of time to where like the time commitment becomes a like this is taking hours and hours from our life. Like if there was a situation where a person that owned a building or whatever wanted us to come in to do like a 2 week long thing there, and it was, you know, maybe then it would be like, okay, can we get some sort of compensation? It doesn't have to be money, but like, can you provide housing? Can you provide food? Like stuff like that. So I guess knee jerk is like, no, I don't think it would be cool to like, you know, do this for a living in terms of doing investigations and getting paid for them. Like obviously there are plenty of paranormal investigators that make a living off of this by getting on a TV show and then making public appearances and things like that. But purely the investigation side, I don't think we should be paid, compensated for it. I think that feels kind of scummy.
Yeah, I'd echo that. My first reaction is probably no, because I feel that for a lot of residential cases, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like you're interacting with somebody that might like feel like they're between a rock and a hard place and they have nowhere else to turn. And if you say, "Hey, I'll help you out, but you got to pay me X, Y, and Z to come in," and you don't even know if it's going to work, or like it feels like you're taking advantage of them a little bit, at least to me. If a team has some kind of deal with the people that they're helping out and they want compensation, that's fine. I don't know if I personally feel really okay with that, just because it feels like you're taking advantage of someone a little bit. And that's, I don't think many people get into this field for the money. So I think there is that as well. You're more in it, or you should be in it to help people. I think that's the bottom line. So my reaction would be no, but I know everybody has different opinions, so that's fine.
Scott, how about you?
Yeah. Well, so far we all have the same opinion. I agree. Private residents should not be paying. We should not be getting paid, and that's part of the whole history of this of the paranormal being seen as charlatans, because people get paid for things that they're pretending to do and not actually doing, which we are not doing. We are trying to actually help people, and we're not in it to help ourselves, as you know, as some psychics and fortune tellers and all that kind of crap would have done in the past. If I would say if somebody other than a private residence called us in to help them out, then like a business or something, then maybe we could get paid. But private residence, I don't like that idea. So you know, like Lauren and Sam are saying, it's too many people take advantage of people in that way. I said that we should be in this to help them, not to help ourselves.
So I've been smirking through this entire thing because I have dealt with this question many times over the last decade. So here is how I pretty much see it, and it's never really come into play really yet, thank goodness. So the way I see it, whether it's a business, whether it's a private home, if they're not responsible for the haunting that they do, if somebody moves into a home, if somebody starts a business and moves into a space or something along those lines, and they're like, holy crap, this place is haunted, or by accident, if they weren't really intentionally trying to do anything, but something happened. Let's say they went to Waverly and brought something back. It's not really, they intentionally went to Waverly, but it wasn't really their plan to bring something home. Then no, they shouldn't. They should definitely not, or we should definitely not be paid to help them out, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. We're in this to help people, and people should not get paid to have this kind of help. Not to mention, we get just enough, just as much out of it, doing it for free as anybody. I mean, this is something. I mean, I'm only going to speak for me here, but I hope that you guys are with me. This is something we'd love to do. Even though, it can be a drag sometime. I hate DVR, but in the end, it's something that can be done and has a very satisfying end. However, if somebody from Nebraska called us up and were like, hey, found you, watch your show or whatever, really love the way you guys do things, I'm having a hell of a time in my house, can you please come and help? I'm not going to turn that down. I might suggest, maybe let me see if I can try to find somebody in your area, because I'm way far away. But they're like, no, I want you. And I'm like, well, can you pay for the gas, out there? I have no problem, giving them my time. I have no problem paying for hotel, if that's what it costs. But that's a hell of a lot of gas to get out there and back. Can you help me with that? The other way that I would do it is if let's say we go into a place, let's use the case we don't talk about. And let's, we went in there and they're dumbasses. They did a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
And let's say we helped them, which I think we did. And then they turn around and do something, the exact same stupid shit again. After we tell them this is what not to do, don't do this, and they go and do it again, you goddamn right they're paying us to do it. If we solve their problem and we say this is how not to do it again, and they go and intentionally do it again, then they're gonna compensate us for our time to fix it again. But original, no. I have never yet had to charge anybody or be like, okay, you need to give us this. The only time that has actually happened, they're not actually asking for help, but that's the bachelorette party, in August. Yeah, they're going to pay it for us because that's my business. That's not a case. They're not in any. They don't need any help. They want to have fun. So, I mean, that's the only other thing. If somebody wants us to help them have a good time at a haunted location, then they're going to pay for that too. But that completely separate from a private business, private location. I don't even know. I mean, Sam, you brought up if some place brought us or wanted us for like 2 weeks to just investigate a place. I don't know if I would. It depends on where it was. I mean, if they're like, we want you every other day up in Duluth, to, let's just say it's the Irvin, they're like, we want you every Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, 4 days a week to just investigate the Irvin, get, for 2 weeks, you have unrestricted access. Yeah. I mean, if it was the Irvin, I might skip that one, but I mean, that would be a little bit of a negotiation because that's a lot of gas to get up there. I still wouldn't charge them for my time, but that is a lot of money to throw at that sort of thing. And again, it wouldn't be for the time; it would be for travel expenses. You know, that is about the most that I would be willing to go, minus the case we never talk about. And they did that too. We told them what not to do, and they went and did it anyway. So that's why I ignore them. let them sit there and rot. But and let me just say, for the sake of the generalized version of that, I don't have that opinion towards any other clients. Very specific case, and if you knew the context of it, you would understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people worry about that. You know, yeah, we don't charge, and it says it right on our website, but sometimes people still ask because they don't. It's like walking into the Dollar Tree and still asking, how much is this? Like, you just don't believe it. Like, you need confirmation. So let that just be confirmation. As long as you don't redo something that, or even as long as you don't undo something that we help you with, you're not going to be charged. Who wants to go next?
I will go next.
Nice.
So excluding Lauren, you can still answer this question, but excluding Lauren, we've been on a fair amount of investigations at this point. Mike being obviously the person out of all of us that has been on the most, but I want to know what you can either cite a favorite moment or favorite investigation you've ever been on, and why. Why is it your favorite? Why do you always think about it? You know, what made it special for you?
Well, Lauren can answer this question. She just doesn't have a lot to choose from.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said, like, you know, Lauren, you can answer, but you have what?
I have an
to choose
answer.
From?
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear it.
From the three, I have an answer, but I'll let somebody else go first.
You've been
Okay,
on
Four, sorry.
Okay. I can go.
Sorry, Ailey.
No, that's okay. I would say my answer's pretty. The one that pops in my head right away is the first time we went to Ashmore. I just think that was, first of all, I think the most active investigation I've been on. Just, I mean, hearing footsteps, hearing voices, equipment hits. So I mean, it's exciting to be having a lot of activity. I really enjoyed that. And in general, it's such a cool building. Like, I always want to go back there, so that's why it's a favorite for me. And I think that it was also my first time, I think, investigating like with an event with a group of people, which I think can be fun. Sometimes I like smaller groups, but sometimes having a bigger group brings a different energy too. That I personally enjoy it. And having Ken there was awesome. Yeah, that was really special too, to have Ken. He's cool to investigate with. Having a medium around brings a different sort of experience, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having him around. Yeah, I think just in terms of like personal experiences, that's probably the most I've had. So I think that's why that would be my favorite.
Yep. Who's next?
Well, I think my favorite would probably be the Duke. Oh,
Which time?
yeah. Been there, what, 3 times at least. I'm thinking the first time might be my favorite, just because it was my first time.
Yeah,
doing
but you would like, that was a really shitty event. Sorry to say.
Well,
I was actually just talking with somebody about that today.
mm-hmm.
And you were with Matt.
Well, that part, yeah.
It
But
may be the most memorable, but I wouldn't say it was a favorite.
Okay.
Mike, let him answer.
But,
Sorry. I'm sorry. I found it hard to believe.
well, it wasn't Matt, or he was obnoxious, but it was the spirits themselves, especially Alice.
Fair
the
enough.
little girl. Because I felt like I had a direct connection with her, that she connected with me. Even before the investigation started, even before you arrived, Mike, um, she was connecting with me, and it was just a fun experience with connecting with her and with the other spirits there. Um, Matt and the other people, the people who were there, I enjoyed it despite that. Uh,
Fair
um,
enough.
but uh, the Duke always has something. Is always a good experience. You know? And I was just talking to a friend of mine last week who used to work at the Leduc years ago, and I was telling him we were talking about our investigations, and I told him about the little girl who was in there, and he said, "You know that I'm. It's funny you should mention that because when I worked there, I saw a little girl looking out of the window, watching me work out in the yard." And so get confirmation from outside of the group, people who have had experiences there. You know, but I always enjoy Alice and the other spirits at the Leduc. So.
I agree. If they ever change their prices and stuff, we'll go back in there.
Yeah.
Lauren, how about you?
The first one that popped into my mind, believe it or not, was Mason House, because I think as quiet as it was, well, yeah, Sam knows why.
I know.
As quiet as it was, I think we had two very, at least for me, the most impactful moments that we have had so far. And granted, I haven't been on many investigations, I will give you that. But I think each night we did the prayer. Scott said a really beautiful prayer each night in two different areas of the house. And the very first one on the first night, because I remember Alyssa was with us, and she's like, there is a lady by this bed in this room, and she's just so like overwhelmed with grief and just so sad. And I'm like, well, that's my bed. What can I do? So I sat down and I wrote her a whole letter, and I kind of meditated on just like, I hear you, I see you, like trying to help somebody as if I would help a friend who just lost a loved one, kind of thing. And that coupled with the experience that we had that last session, when we were speaking to everybody that was there, I feel like we did some good, and that was a really good feeling for me. And I'm like, okay, now I can confirm this is why I want to do this, is because I feel like we did some good. Even though it was kind of sad circumstances, what we found out and everything like that. But yeah, that would be my favorite moment so far.
Sweet. I actually have two for two different reasons, or for different reasons, I should say. The first one is Grand Opera House in Dubuque, which we will be going to in a couple weeks, because that was, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most active place that I have ever been in. And this is me talking. So up until that point, like, had never heard footsteps before. Heard footsteps on the stage. Had never heard like disembodied voices. Heard disembodied voices. Even had a disembodied sound that was flipping crazy, like just echo through the entire theater for like 5 seconds. And obviously the evidence caught there was, blow your mind crazy. So, personal experience wise, the Grand Opera House for me. And the other one is, I won't say the cemetery name, because we were called in by the city to.
Bye, Scott.
Bye, Scott.
Oh.
He doesn't need to hear this anyway. So, we were called by the city to investigate this city cemetery, which is actually supposedly the most haunted cemetery in the state. And they had a whole list of claims. Here's what people are experiencing. Here's what makes teenagers run out of the cemetery screaming, blah, 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 blah. And we were able to, during the course of the investigation, pretty much take every single one of those claims and find a natural explanation for them. And I left there feeling the most satisfied that I have ever felt. Like, I really enjoy helping people, but being able to like go into a place and be able to go back to the client, be like, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, and this is this. You know, nobody needs to be scared or anything like that, because here's the rational explanation for every single thing that people have said, and still got evidence anyway. Like, still got EVP, still had equipment hits. So, I mean, all in all, it was probably the most well-rounded investigation that I had ever done. And really want to go back to a cemetery, not necessarily that one, since I know what other thing is going on there.
Do one. That sounds
I
really
agree. And I got feelers out, but I'm waiting. It's just another aspect of things I'm waiting for.
It just seems like the most, like, it's kind of crazy. I've been doing this for 2.5 years at this point, and I haven't never done a cemetery, because so many people start out doing those. And I didn't.
Yeah. You know, the thing about cemeteries is, you know, back 5 years or so, you could just call up the police and be like, hey, we really want to go out and this is what we're going to be doing. Is that okay? And they're like, sure. But now the teenagers all over the place have started to, you know, deal drugs and all this other shit and vandalize cemeteries. Nobody's allowing anybody in now after dark. You know, even us. We went to a cemetery, I don't know, 4 years ago, something like that. I was taking a couple friends with, and I thought Dave was going to call and, you know, let him know that we were going to be going in, and he didn't. And the cops showed up, and, you know, after they ran all of our licenses and saw that we weren't hoodlums, they're like, yeah, you got to leave. So, I mean, they take that stuff seriously now. So, I mean, unless you know somebody on a force that will, welcome back, Mr. Shea.
Yeah. Sorry, battery on my Wi-Fi died.
So, I mean, unless you know somebody on a force that is willing to be like, okay, we'll let everybody know, everybody in the force, that you're going to be out there. So if we get any calls, we know what to do. Go ahead and do it. There's really nothing we can do. Or you get called in by the city. Obviously, you get called in by the city, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the city to allow us in. But believe me, there's a lot of cemeteries that I would love to take you guys to, that are amazing. But I don't want to run the risk of getting us all in a lot of trouble for trespassing after dark. So, you know, we'll get to it sometime. That's for sure. Yeah, I was the last one. All right, Scott.
Well, I haven't answered the question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. Yes, you are correct.
My favorite is actually the second time we went to Ashmore. Haley's was the first, and mine is the second time we went. I mean, both times were absolutely phenomenal, but the second time I had the most, like, I mean, the first time I had a lot of personal experiences, but the second time was a bit more meaningful, in terms of like what I experienced. The first time I was there, I mean, it's very, very close for me. The only reason the second one sticks out is because, you know, I tried an experiment for the first time of, like, I played my music and stuff, and that seemed to go really well in that building and yielded really, really great results. And we had great equipment interaction that whole time. Like, anytime you went in the kitchen and asked questions with the REM pod on, you got consistent answers, which was like kind of crazy. But yeah, like really, really intense experiences and really, really clear footsteps and, yeah, I heard the clearest footsteps I've ever heard my second time at Ashmore, just like big work boot steps, stepping down the hallway, going into the boiler room that we all knew was Joe, obviously. Um, so yeah, um, Ashmore is a very special place. There's a reason why it's always booked up months in advance because it's a pretty special building to be in, and it's kind of, Robin does a great job of not letting that the building's reputation get higher than it actually is, because pretty much all the 95% of the claims there are like pretty accurate to how the building actually operates. Um, so it's really cool. I love Ashmore.
Good call. Scott.
Well, I saw something on Facebook. Somebody was asking a question. So the question is, uh, how we should avoid Ouija boards and all that stuff. But the person was asking, can we be influenced? Can a spirit entity influence us through a computer app or through our computers?
Through a computer app.
I should just turn off my mic so I can swear for a few seconds.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I mean, no.
That it?
That's it.
Sometimes it's all the answer you need.
No, I'll actually answer. No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty. I don't know how they would do it. Like, are they like are they using targeted ads to like, sway your opinion on something? Like, try to make you sink money into Amazon or whatever? Is that how they're trying to influence you? Like, I just don't get practically how a spirit would do it through an app on your phone. Like, I don't really know how that would even be physically possible. So no, I don't think so. I think the spirit would much rather just influence you as a person, just your physical body, rather than manipulate you through an electronic device. I'm sure they can manipulate the device in some way, but I'm not sure how that would meaningfully impact you in any way, shape, or form.
Before anybody else answers, Pamela wants to know when we're going to go to Ashmore again. We are planning on going to Ashmore again.
We're always planning on going to Ashmore.
Yeah, we always plan on going to Ashmore.
Uh-huh.
Not this year. They are literally booked every weekend until November. In which case, then he is going to be shutting off the water. So, we are looking right now at May of 2022. I have not booked that yet because I don't want to pay the down payment just yet. I'm hoping it'll still be there, but there'll be tons of dates this far off. But yes, we are definitely going to be going to Ashmore again. Lauren definitely has to experience Ashmore.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we all are, because Ashmore is an amazing place, and I always do the 2-day events, just like I did at Edinburgh and Mason House. But the good thing there is, the VIPs, they have bunk houses on the site, so you're actually like sleeping on site, and it's part of the ticket price and everything. So yeah, Pamela, if you want to come to that with us, obviously stay tuned. I'm sure it won't be too long before I actually book that and get that on the website. But yeah, not until next May at the earliest. So, Art, continue.
Sam, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done.
Oh, I would hope so. Otherwise, my apologies. I thought you were done.
Yeah, I was done.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really think so. the only thing I can really think of, and this is kind of a stretch on like influencing you through an app, would be like maybe it would be easier for a spirit to show up on like a webcam or like phone camera. But I don't know if that counts as like influencing or if that's what the person is like asking about. Yeah, otherwise I don't really know that spirits can interact with electronics necessarily. I mean, they can obviously, but like a phone app or a computer, I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if a spirit really wants to interact with you, they will find a way. I don't think it really. I don't know. It's like watching a paranormal TV show is going to automatically open you up to all these spirits in your house. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think we talked about that before. Watching a paranormal TV show, not going to open you up to anything. I think because I know there are spirit box apps that you can download on your phone. I think that would be in a very, very small chance. Maybe that would be the way, but I think we have to remember what our intention is behind something. If you are intending to open a line of communication and you do a lot of things wrong, or you just don't really know what you're getting into, you can open up, I think, a line of communication in a lot of different ways. If you're not going in with that intention, I wouldn't really worry about it, but just be mindful of what you're doing and don't get yourself into trouble. But I think it's a very, very, very small chance of anything happening because of a computer app or a phone app or whatever.
Scott, the person asking, is this person wondering if they can like be partially possessed by a spirit messing with a phone app or like through their phone? Or are they just wondering if a spirit can manipulate the phone and manipulate a spirit app?
I think that what they were looking for is if they could be personally influenced by a spirit through their technological device. You know.
So if I had my phone and I had what the hell they call it, the ghost radar on my phone, they're wondering if maybe because I have that app that a spirit could make me angry or like make me do stuff. Is that what?
Or maybe they could, I don't know, maybe become aware of you so that they would start haunting you or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, because Lauren kind of touched on this too in her answer, and I kind of want to. I'm going to answer this in a generalized term because I have absolutely no idea why, and I guess that's not true. So I think it was last year, maybe it was 2019. I'm not sure, but a whole bunch of Travel Channel paranormal people did a show called Salem Live, and I didn't watch it. I thought it was ridiculous, but they decided that they would do a ritual live on TV, and that they would have they would draw a symbol, and then they would have everybody at home drawing symbols, the exact same symbol, in their house. And it legitimately caused a lot of weird shit to happen. And that actually goes kind of into to my topic, which I have not been able to do for like 5 weeks, which is amazing. And I'm not going to do it again here today, but
You got 30 seconds, Mike.
I have as long as I want. Thank you very much. My show. But we're not going to get to my topic, and that's fine. But word got out that a lot of weird shit started happening. And so now everybody, I should say everybody, a lot of people are starting to throw the question around of, if I watch paranormal shows, or in this case, I use paranormal apps on my phone, is it going to cause me to experience activity, like in my own home? And the answer is no, like not even close. Yeah, when you do a dumbass ritual, yeah, you're going to encounter some shit. That's the whole point. But if I'm sitting back on the couch watching, the Dead Files, it's not going to make whatever they're encountering come into my house. Nothing is going to happen by watching the paranormal shows. Nothing is going to happen by using phone apps. And I mean that literally too, because there's a reason that each phone app says for entertainment purposes only. They're designed to go off. Your phone is not all of a sudden an EMF reader just because you downloaded this app. That requires a sensor, which you don't have. I agree. Probably maybe the ghost. Oh, I disappeared for a second there. Go me.
I wasn't sure if other people were experiencing that too, because
Yeah,
last time you
same.
disappeared on me.
No,
Mhm.
I had a Wi-Fi hiccup there.
Yeah, you
Okay.
froze up there.
What was my last statement? Because it didn't freeze up on me, obviously.
You
Um,
agree with something.
Yeah.
Wow, I hope it's not. How long have I been
I think
frozen?
you were talking about some sort of app, like you agree with some.
Oh, the phone. Yeah, the Spirit Box apps. Okay. I was going to say, way to listen, you guys. Appreciate that. It's been 30 seconds and not a single one of you could remember what I was talking about. So good job, guys. Anyways, I think maybe the Spirit Box apps are probably about the only legitimate ones you could get to work, like legitimately. I have seen them done at Ashmore, and they were fairly compelling. But Ghost Radar, they have like an Ovilus style app. No, they're not. They're not working the way you think they are, nor are they going to get you haunted. Only acting like a jackass is going to get you haunted, and that's because you deserve it. So, yeah, that's my answer. You try to do an idiotic ritual with like the world, you're going to get activity. You sit down and have a bowl of popcorn and watch a paranormal show, you're fine. So, do you think that answered it, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. Well, that does it for us, unless anybody has anything to add.
Nada.
Nope. We're a talkative bunch today. I like it. All right. Well, then, everybody, thank you for watching. And we'll be back next week, hopefully with a special guest, which I will remain a secret until I actually contact this person and ask. But yeah, we'll be back next week. So everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, get your vaccine, and we'll see you back here next week. Everyone have a good